Mhm.
And we are live. Can you believe it? Yes, I can believe it. We will allow a few minutes here for people to trickle in if they need to. Welcome, everybody who may be watching this on replay. My name is James O'Hagan, and welcome to Codingville Summer School. This is an opportunity for teachers to come in, learn about Codingville, and experience it with an expert in the field. Um, if you have not yet, oh, we do have a viewer. We have somebody in here. If you have not yet created your Codingville account, please make sure to check out codingville.ca and you can start creating your free Codingville account. Also, we do have a bit.ly for this presentation. So if you would go to bit.ly/Codingville setup, that will also help you with getting all the other additional resources that we have here today.
Yeah, so before we really dive in, at codingville.ca, when you get in there, so while we're doing our kind of intro, you can go ahead and do that. Make sure you choose that you're a teacher, and it'll ask you for a username and password. There'll be a little survey that it needs to do. It's codingville.ca, and you can see the Maple Leaf there is a Canadian company, so they want to track data to see how coding is progressing in Canada. So you'll find that little survey. You'll get an email confirmation. So go ahead and get that process in while James and I continue on here.
So today I am your MC for today. I'll be monitoring the chat. Again, my name is James O'Hagan. I live in Racine, Wisconsin, which is right on Lake Michigan between Milwaukee and Chicago. In fact, I am on Treaty of Chicago land. This used to be the land of the Potawatomi tribe. That is still around here and still active in my area. Cami, how
And
about for yourself?
my name is Cami Cannikins, and I'm coming to you from the southeast corner of Alberta, near Saskatchewan, near Montana. I am, of course, James and I are both consultants for Logix Academy. In my day job, I am a district instructional coach with us Prairie School District. So that is where we're coming from. So in my day job, I do lots with coding and STEM and literacy and all sorts of things. So we are excited to come to you today to bring Codingville. And again, if you haven't started that sign up process, you can go ahead and do that. If you already have an account, you can log in. And we always want to take a moment, of course, to do a land acknowledgement. And I would like to acknowledge that I'm coming to you from the border of Treaty 4 and 7 territory. Those are the traditional lands of the Siksika, the Kainai, the Piikani, the Stoney Nakoda, the Tsuut'ina, that's Treaty 7 people, and then the Cree, the Sioux, and the Saulteaux bands of the Ojibwa people. And our reconciliation of this act is our recognition of this land, this beautiful land, the flat prairies. I was just telling James about how flat it is where I am. The seasons are changing. Our reconciliation is an expression of our gratitude to those whose territory we acknowledge that we reside on or are visiting. And native-land.ca is a great map if you want to find out more about the traditional lands that you're coming or learning from, living on, all of those things. Woo.
Well, and I appreciate how flat it is where you are because it is not much more hilly where I am as well. So,
So James and I are Logix Academy consultants, and Logix Academy, we work all across Canada. Of course, we have friends and consultants and participants from United States as well. But tonight, Codingville is actually a Canadian-made coding program. In fact, it's comes from Alberta, same as me. And so Codingville has funding from the government of Canada, and it fuels funds Mindfuel and RoboGarden, and those are some other coding related programs as well. Sorry, James, I think you were going to do that, and I just kept talking.
that's okay. But why don't you talk about the agenda of what we hope to accomplish in this
Yes.
very tight, less than 30-minute time frame that we
Yeah,
have
so
tonight?
today our goal is to get you into Codingville, give you a really good insight into the Codingville platform as a teacher, a really good look into the student site. We think that in the future, you will probably be setting up a class of students, whether that's for summer school or regular school. We want to give you all the information that you need to confidently get started so that in some weeks or months' time, you can maybe even join one of our co-taught lessons where we lead you through how to use Codingville. So in those co-taught lessons, we have some coming up in summer school in July here. You sign on with your students and we'll be here to lead you through the activities so you don't have to prep ahead of time. We'll do the prep and you just work in your classroom managing your students. So we'll take a quick peek into what is Codingville. We'll look at your teacher account. We'll get your classroom all set up. We'll show you how to add your students. And if there's any time at the end, after looking at some lessons and some other materials, give a little tour of the platform. We'll take your questions.
Well, and those of you who are here tonight, we are live on YouTube. So if you do have any comments or have any questions, again, please feel free to post those comments into the YouTube chat. Those of you who are watching this maybe on a recording, I'm sorry, we won't be here to, we have not figured that part out yet as to how we can answer those questions, but please feel free if you're watching right now, and we do have a few people watching. If you want to check in from where you're watching from, please go ahead and do that. And yeah, why don't we get started, Cami?
We will indeed. Okay, so if you haven't already, codingville.ca is where you will start from. And when you get there, you will be clicking on sign up. And so let's just take a look while you're maybe still doing that at what is Codingville and why would you use Codingville? So we know that students are interested in coding. They love to code. They love the game aspect of coding, the challenge of coding. And so Codingville is a game-based platform. It's a little bit like maybe code.org, if you've done some activities in code.org where your students have challenges, and if they get it right, then they move on to the next level. So Codingville has certainly an aspect of that. But one of the things I love about Codingville is it also has a lot of free building alongside of that. So it's not just do the lessons and get to the next level, but you take that skill that you've learned in some of those sequential practice pieces, and then you can create games and apps. And so the idea is to get students into the spot where they are creating things that they can share with others. That can be used with others. Now, the other another nice thing about Codingville is that it starts off with block-based coding. So if you've used Scratch or CS First before, and the blocks click together, but then it also has a text-based side, so JavaScript and HTML, and it also has a really nice interface, kind of an in-between for middle school, maybe that grade 5 to 7, 8, 9 level, where it's block to text. So it gives you both pieces. This is what the block coding looks like. Here's what the text coding looks like. So it has a nice kind of a gradual way to work your kids up to the text-based coding. It can be very self-paced, step by step. There's journeys, there's games, there's projects. And so whether your students are timid coders or really strong coders and they like to just dig in and try things and make mistakes, there are levels and pieces in Codingville for all of those students. Teachers, there are lots of pieces that are really great for you. So when we get in there, we'll see that there's journeys, which take multiple days. That's kind of like, you might use that in a course or an options class. And then there's extra skills practice, so you can mix and match those. It has a dashboard where you can track your students' progress. The students do not need an email address for Codingville. We'll see that soon. They're going to just log in, so their data isn't an issue. And it will meet curriculum aligned learning outcomes. And so again, created for Canada. So it has lots of those Canadian standards in mind. So
I really appreciate what Canadians do when it comes to student data privacy.
Yes. And so as we make our account, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at the teacher account. And so one of the things, if you're just joining us, and maybe these are the steps that I quickly went over before. If you haven't yet, we'll go through more. You're going to click sign up if this is your very first time, and then you'll get a screen that says teacher or student. Of course, you will pick teacher. And then I think Huh. That's interesting. I thought I had another slide there. Maybe it'll show
Well,
up
they have
later.
creating their account, right? Oh, are you going
Yes.
to show the
There is quite an extensive survey. I thought I had a picture of that. So the survey wants to know your number of students and what's grade are you teaching, and what is the demographic background of your students. Are they male? Are they female? Are they Indigenous? Are they from various ethnic groups? And so the Canadian government or the Canadian just people want to know who's coding, right? Is it just boys that are coding? Are we able to get our girls coding? And so what does that look like? And so you will fill that survey out, and then you will get an email. It'll send you an email, and you'll have to, I think it's a 6-digit code that you put in for confirmation. It's been a while since I've made a teacher account, but I think it's James, you just did you have to do a code?
So when I created my account today, now I don't know if they changed this. It was very simple for me. I needed my first name, my last name, email address. I needed to create a password. I had to put what province I was in, and so I put myself in Ontario. I had to put my town, so I put myself in Sudbury, and I had to tell it what my school was. And so I'm Tom Connors Elementary, which I made up out of the blue, um, and that was it. So I don't know if that survey is still there, but for me, the process was very simple. I had to verify my account. Once I verified my account, I was able to go in, change my profile picture, and then I think in there you can really start to build your classroom.
Yeah. So that's interesting that you didn't get the survey pop up, but um, normally I think that is what will happen. Now, the other thing to note, and I have this on the student slides, is that when you make a username, there can only be one of those in Canada. So because it doesn't use your email address as an identifier, especially on the student side, we can't ever, like, so if you have Tom C from your school, there can only be one Tom C username, right? And so that often stumps kids because they want to go first name last name, but someone has already used that. And so just know that that is coming up. So if you haven't already, this is a good place to pause the video if you're catching us after, and make sure that you have your teacher account all set up. And then, this is just bizarre, James. I had some other slides that we were going to look at.
Uh-oh.
One of the things that will happen is after you sign up, then you will get back to kind of that orangey colored screen. And then you will need to go to log in. And so once you're all signed up, you aren't in, you have to go back and then try your new credentials at logging in. So once you've done that, we'll be ready to create a class. Okay, so that's going to be what we do next. Actually, let's, no, I'm going to keep going here for just a little bit. So you can see on the left-hand side, I'm down on the second item here, and it has classroom. And then when you get that pop up, there's a green create class button on the top right-hand corner. I've just clicked that in this screenshot. And so then you have this option of creating your class. Now you have, okay, I'm just going to scroll ahead, James, here to see what the situation is here. I wonder
Okay.
if we just got out of order. Okay,
Nope.
so you have some choices when you create your class. You can use a join code, or you can, in this one right back here, you are creating your own students by basically typing them in. So you're going to choose a grade, and then you can type your students in. So in this particular case, you are making your students, you're going to click on plus students, and then you're going to add them. And this is where, again, you can't have any, if there's already a James O, then we can't have
Mhm.
another one of those. So you might have kind of a naming convention with some numbers, or if your students have a specific ID, you can decide what that looks like. But this would be where you add your students manually. And so this is great if your students are younger. You will need to create password and a username. And so you will need to keep that. So when you add your students, you want to make sure you have that typed out in a spreadsheet or somewhere else, because the students won't have that. You'll have made their accounts, and then when they go to Codingville, they have to use the information that you give them. And so you might write that on a little card or print that out for them. But that would be that method. So this is the add single student method. Now you can also add a CSV file. And at the bottom here, I have a quick little view of what that CSV file will look like. So you'll want to download the template. So if you click on the tile where it says upload CSV, there's going to be a little screen like this where you first download the CSV file or
Like
the
the template?
template. Yeah,
Yeah.
you download the template, and then you put all your student information in there, and then you'll upload that. So that is, if you have many classes, or if you do a lot of that, that might be quicker for you. So you can decide which one. And then we'll also talk about the class code option. Now, if your students are young, the CSV upload or the teacher adding is great, because again, if the students join with a code, they have to be able to write a username, and then they don't always follow the conventions that you want. And then they have to remember their password. And I swear, as much as you go around and try to collect all those passwords before they sign out, there's always one kid who just didn't write it down in the
At
right place.
least one.
At least one. And so then that's tough, because they can't, like, without that username, or sorry, without the password, they can't get in. So they will be in your class. You'll see them on your dashboard if they've gotten in once, but then them getting in again is difficult without that password. So just some things to keep in mind as you go through that. Anything
What?
you'd like to add, James?
Oh, yes, please. I know that we had the question about the demographics earlier in the
Yes.
when I created my account. And again, I don't know if this changed on the back end from when you created your slides, but in the classroom section, they now have a tab for demographics, where they do ask the questions of number of students, how number of students who identify as a girl, number of students who identify as Indigenous, First Nation, Métis, Aboriginal, Black, African Canadian, member of all students who identify as a person of color. But there also is, if you choose not to include this, there is a checkbox that says prefer not to complete this form. So that is also in the
Yes.
classroom
And so
tabs.
what you'll find is, if you don't complete that, you'll get a red sign, a red flasher, or a red message in the top right hand corner of your class that says you haven't done your demographics yet. And so it wants you to go to that classroom tile and complete that. But there is also usually a quick little teacher survey. But anyways, the mysterious survey. So when we get into our class, you will end up on a page like this. And so we'll just give you a chance right here to pause if you haven't, and if you want to give your kids if you're uploading your students, you can do that now. The other thing you'll note is that by default, right here, it's actually a little bit small in my picture, but on the class code, it gives you the class code, and then you can just share that with your students, and they just go to Codingville. And this next part will take us through what that looks like for students. So it's always nice to see what the student login is like. And so when your students have logged in, or you've created your students, this is what they will get when they're going to log in. And you'll see where they'll put that join code in. Okay, so student accounts. When students come to codingville.ca, they will get that same screen that you do. Now, they will get a screen that says, I am a student. And so they will want to click sign up. I am a student. And I know this one, if you've created their account, so you've got it in the CSV file, or you made the students, you'll start with this one, and the students will log in. So when they log in, you can see the little login window. They need their username and the password that you've created for them back when you use the CSV. And then they'll have a little screen that says, let's get started. And then there's a little welcome video that's nice to watch. I like to watch that with the class, so you kind of all see the same thing. You can have a chat about it. And then one of the things that happens is sometimes it gets stuck there. So in the bottom right-hand corner, there is a little button that says, I think it says, is it continue or get started or something like that. So
It looks
sometimes
like get started.
oh, good. My screen's little. Thanks, James. Sometimes they miss that because it's kind of in the bottom. And if there's anything sitting over top, they miss that one. So that is if you have created their accounts. Now, this next piece is if they are using the class code. So instead of going to log in, they don't have an account yet, they're going to go to sign up and they're going to click on I'm a student. And then there's this choice and they'll say, do you have a class code? Now they'll pick yes. Okay. And then from that class code, you'll see that there's a couple places on your teacher on the left or the teacher views. You can have the class code right here, and then you'll see the class code there. So your students will pop that in, and then they have some information as well. Now, this is where they have to record their password. And so that's that part where we were talking about that you don't see it. You don't get it sent to you. If they don't keep it safe, if you don't have them write it down or take a sheet around and have them copy it or something, you need to assist them because this is the only place that they'll use that or get access to that password. So you have to write it down this first time. So better to do with students who are a little older generally. So first name, last name, and then again, that username must be unique and their password, and they will be on, and then they'll get to these same slides. Once they have that account again, just like when you log in as create your account as a teacher, it puts you back to that start page at codingville.ca, that kind of orange one. And then they have to click log in, and then they'll do the same things that we talked about students doing if you created the accounts for them. So that is where we are at. Okay, now when your students get in there might not be anything in there. It might just be empty. And it's like, the kids can't do anything. And that is because the teacher, you have to push them the material. And when you come to summer school, we'll give you lots more information about what to assign and all of that. We will take a little bit of a jaunt over and take a look at what that looks like. So when we get in there, you'll see that there are two things, journeys and skills and practice. Actually, James, do you want to flip over to my other screen? And we will go to into Codingville. There we go. All right. So here is my dashboard. And you can see, let's go to home. Under classrooms, there we go. You can see that I have two different classes. And so you get, again, here's this create the classroom item. If you have to create a classroom first, whether your students join either way. So once you are in a classroom, then you can assign, let's open this guy up. Oh, there's that red bar, James. You can see something went wrong.
And you don't have any demographics.
Yeah, so that's, you were saying that we can add under classroom, or as James was saying, this is the demographic information that they want to collect. And we can click this, but my experience is that even if we click prefer not to complete the form, that it really wants us to complete the form. And so it will.
I got that as well.
It will ask us to come back and do that next time. So we can, it's like we can put it off for a little bit, but not forever. All right. So under classroom, we have journeys, projects. So these are our finished projects, games, other things. Here is our student dashboard. So you can see our students now. The other thing you can see here is that the students have scores. And so as students complete activities, they get coins, or they get, I think they're coins, usually coins. And so that score can keep up. And so that's lots of intrinsic motivation because they want to get more coins. And so that helps them to keep going. You can see here that you can delete them if they are no longer in your class. Now, I'm going to click on that. So on the left-hand dashboard, I'm going to go to Journeys here. And so this is where we really do all of our work as teachers. And so I want to point out several different features for you. So the journeys, so here's these different kinds. Here's the coding using blocks. So that's for our littles, 2 to grade 4 or 5 or beyond if their coders are new. Here's the blocks to Java. And then the coding using JavaScript. So that is much more advanced coding. And you'll see here that they recommend that for grade 7 to 9 plus. The junior app development is quite advanced, and so they should not start there. You won't want to start them there. You'll want them to do lots of other work first. So journeys are longer. You'll see this one says 9 hours. And then over here we have skills practice. So you can see things from movement, sensors, logos, loops, logos, conditions, loops, if then statements, and then there's one other page under skills, some nesting, and then there's actually these last 3 kind of garden ones. And so there are games that they're a little bit more thematic as opposed to single skill like those other tiles. And so these garden ones mix and match some of the skills that they have learned, and they're actually not a bad place to jump into because some of these other skills get quite challenging quite quickly. Now, whether we're on the journeys or the skills practice, you'll notice that these tiles have some different pieces on them, and we'll talk about them. So you can see here, I earned some coins and some XP points as I was going through and doing these as a teacher. Now, one of the things that I love about Codingville is it has a really nice teacher interface where you get to try things out. So if I click on info, I can just click on try. And so what it does is it opens up the platform for me. And so let's see, let's just do this really super easy one.
Move 1 step forward to collect the birthday banner.
Could you hear that, James?
Very much so.
Okay, so the lady will talk to you. You can mute the instructions if you like. So I'm gonna hit continue. And so this is the easiest piece in Codingville. You click and you say, oh, 1 step forward, and then you run it. Congratulations. Okay, so as a teacher, I can check things out. I can see how difficult or easy is this something my students can do. But as a teacher, there are some other really great things in here that I want to point out that happen on our teacher side. So this is, again, we're in that teacher account and we're trying things. We're kind of kicking the tires, if you will. Up here under descriptions, if we want to hear it again, but the really great piece is under settings, show model answer. So if I click on show model answer, it's supposed to show the code for my model answer. And I wonder, because I've just done
Is it the step forward?
Yeah, well, it's basically just the step. Well, it should be a pop-up. Okay, let's see. We'll go to another one and see if we can maybe get another one there. Okay, let's try this guy.
Help Robo collect the nearest cupcake. Hint, the length of a cell is 20 centimeters.
Length of a cell is 20 centimeters. So you can see really quickly that we're getting into some math as well. And
the Americans have tapped out.
Centimeters, run away, hey? Oh, so actually up at the top here, it popped out. Let's see. If I delete that, maybe that was it. Show model answer. Oh, yeah, so at the top, it does pop that up there. So there it is. I thought it popped in the middle of the screen. So anyways, you can see the model answer. So as you're going through, you can decide, okay, wow, that's a lot of coding, or my students aren't ready for that. You can do that without having to play the whole piece yourself. And so on the teacher side, that is great. Now, These are sequential, mostly the journeys as you go through there. So let's just go back here. Oh, we're on the skill practice. And so you can see I was under the info tab. If I want to assign that, there I can pick any of my classes. I can assign to multiple classes. And I click assign and it says assigned successfully. So now if you logged in as my student with that class code and I assigned it to that class, now you would see robo-sensors as something that you could do as a student. So that does sometimes happen where teachers like, oh, my kids are logged in, but they don't have anything to do. And so, oh, that's because you have to go in as a teacher and you have to push them out the assignments that you're choosing. So skills practice and journeys. And again, if you're poking through skills practice, make sure you go to the second page and try out these garden paths. And again, they are kind of in ascending difficulty. Those mix the skills up a little bit more. And so they're a nice overview if you want to just really dip kids' toes in a little bit. Here on the dashboard, we can see my test classes, so I can flip between classes. I can see the students' points that are there. And so recent activities, classroom scores, and I can also see who has logged in most recently. So you can see whether your students are, maybe they're coding at home, or, did the student said they signed into class today, but, oh, they actually didn't ever get to signing in. I wonder what they were doing instead. So you do have some nice data there. Last thing, as we roll home here, I do want to point us over to the teacher resources. So these are all sorts of items that you can do to learn. So this is if you want to have a little bit of background, you don't need to, but if you want to know what are loops or what are these items of coding, it's not coding itself, but it's a quick little mini lesson, videos, some reading, and then at the end, after you've gone through all the missions for that particular part, there's a little 2 or 3 question quiz, and then you get points too. So you can do all sorts of lessons if you want to learn with your students. And then I do want to point out the lesson plans kind of as our last thing here. These are lots of paper lesson plans. They're often in-person coding or human coding. So you might need to have paper or have the students physically do things or physically interact with the world. They're non-digital, I guess, non-screen. Many of these are. And so
Well,
they're a
and
nice addition. Go ahead, James. Sorry.
yeah, and so I've worked with some groups, especially up near the territories in the north, where internet access is not reliable. So this is a great way to not have to lose a day necessarily. Or let's say you have a student who is not able to functionally use the computer that day. This is a great alternative as well, too.
Right. So yeah, if you have all sorts of internet reasons or other reasons, there are some alternatives there. All right, so we have given a pretty good shake over our Codingville. Now, when you join us for summer school, or if you join us for a Logix co-taught lesson, all that you really have to do is have your account ready that you've made, and then you need to have your kids connected. That's a great way to start, because then you're ready. We'll even tell you, okay, go to your class. I'll show you how to find the right lesson. You're going to assign it. You assign it to the kids, and then we will teach your kids step by step what to do, how to proceed, and go through. So, James, that about covers our tour.
That was wonderful. So again, as the big takeaways that I have, and I'll switch us back over to our other slides here if you want to. Uh, are we going to? Do we have any more slides, or
No,
are the?
these are just some screenshots of some of those paper lessons.
Gotcha.
Real quick, so I'll just slide through those. There's Simon Says, which and it kind of shows how that's related to coding. And so, yeah, that takes us right to the end.
Well, thank you so much, Cami, for that. I created my teacher account today. Now I don't have students, but personally, as somebody who always love to try out even the basic stuff. So even if you think like your kids are maybe middle school or high school age, don't shy away from, I don't, in your experience, Cami, should they shy away from like the beginner lessons
No,
with the
I think middle
blocks?
school students, especially, I don't know about the students you've worked with, but middle school, like grade 4, 5, 6, if they haven't done much or any coding, absolutely start off with those skills or start them in block-based coding for sure. That confidence that they just need to get the coding thinking, they'll
Hmm.
progress much more quickly. But without starting there, you will, I think you'll cause students to really struggle and get frustrated unnecessarily. So give
Yeah.
them the basics, give them those strong building blocks, loops and sequences and all those really core pieces that we need to do more advanced coding. So absolutely, I would say start there.
And if you caught this in the middle, this again was recorded live, so you can always come back to the Logix Academy YouTube page to follow up on our coding summer school prep, Codingville, sorry, Codingville summer school prep session today. If you have feedback, please, we do need it. We do love your feedback. bit.ly/Logix feedback. Or you can email us directly at events@logixacademy.com. And again, the slides and resources here can be found at bit.ly/Codingville setup. For Cami, I am James O'Hagan. Thank you so much for being a part of this today, and we look forward to seeing you for our next session.
Bye bye.